All right, so to review, just at the end of the last video, I took my full sketch page and I got it into the computer and I put it into Canvas, and it looks like this, right? So I'm going to open that full sketch photograph in Photoshop, say open with Photoshop. And then I used my guides. Yeah, I got to go back in my history so you can see that. So this is my full sketch. Then I used my guides with the move tool by clicking on the ruler and click and drag down guides around it. And then I used what's called the crop tool, boom, to crop and get rid of all the pixels that are outside of those guides, which gave me the aspect ratio of my landscape. Then I hit Command J. Command J duplicates my landscape onto a new layer. And the reason I did that is to optimize it. And I did that by hitting Command T to free transform, just like we've done in the last two exercises. And I just used distort to tug this side of it a little bit out of the frame, because I thought that was a nicer composition. And I can compare them right here. And now I do think that this is nicer. That's a better composition. So now I'm going to crop again. Use the crop tool, have it sync to my guides, hit return, and it will crop off this little spike from existing. So now I have the sketch I want. And I can refer back to the one I posted in Canvas, or sometimes I'll just leave it open in preview here to see what all of these things were from my references. Because everything's going to be built from that high quality photo reference. Okay, what's the next step? I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. So now I hit return. I've cropped it. Now I need to go to image size, because if this is going to be my planning sketch, it's like buying a really simple jigsaw puzzle, where the jigsaw puzzle is the same size as the box that the jigsaw puzzle comes in, right? And the cover of the box that the jigsaw puzzle comes in shows you what the design is on the puzzle. And that's how people learn how to make puzzles when they're younger. So what do? You dump all the puzzle pieces out, and then how do you know how to arrange them? You just match them to the lid of the box. This sketch is our plan for how we're going to arrange all the components from our reference into our composite, our believable landscape. So in order for it to be useful, we have to make it the size of our finished print, right? It has to, the lid of the puzzle box needs to be the size of the puzzle pieces. So I need it to be at least 8 by 10 inches by at least 300 pixels per inch. And depending on the quality of the camera that you took the photo with, or how you cropped it, it's probably not going to be larger than 8 by 10 by 300 pixels per inch. So we use image size to force it to be larger by clicking on resample. Mine's 4 inches by close to 2 inches. I'm going to change that 4 to 14. And I thought that would be enough, but it's still not enough, because that height is still less than 8, right? So I can have no dimension that's less than 8, and no second dimension that's less than 10. It needs to be at least 8 by 10 inches. So what can I do? Well, this is the limiting factor. If I make the height 8 inches, then it's going to be 8 by 17.5 inches. That's because it's really long. And then the resolution, I need the resolution to be minimum of 300. But I like to use studio resolution, which is 350. And if I'm using the high def assets from Pixabay, I'm going to have plenty of resolution to fill that size. So mine's going to be 17 by 8 inches. Heck, I might even go a little bit bigger. 9 inches. 9 inches by 19 by 350. Now when I say OK, it makes my digital sketch a little bit fuzzy at the edges because it had to grow a bunch of pixels. And it will do the same thing to your pencil sketch. But that's fine because this is just our planning. Your guides will still be there, But now it is large enough. You can see it in the bottom left-hand corner. Now mine's closer to 20 by 9 inches, which is larger than 8 by 10, at least 300 pixels per inch. Mine's at 350 pixels per inch. This is where students get confused. So I'm going to try to make it really clear, and then, of course, I'm here to help you and check your resolution. Because we don't want to do this at too low a resolution or too high a resolution. So now at this stage, this is what my finished print, this is the pixel dimensions that my finished print will have. This will be the size, like 20 by 9 inches by at least 300 pixels per inch. This actually allows me to make it even bigger, because as long as we're printing at 300 pixels per inch, it will be good quality for printing. But if I leave it cropped like this, when I bring my reference images in, like this one, and I try to place them, it's going to be hard to see what I'm using, because anything that's not in my image is going to be black. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do is build a larger canvas to give me working space. So let's go with the analogy of the puzzle again. You don't work on a puzzle only on the lid of the puzzle, because you don't have room for all the pieces that way. Does that make sense? As you're arranging them. So what do? You put the puzzle lid in the middle of a table, you dump all the pieces around it, and on that table you arrange the pieces and then put them where you think they should go. So we need a tabletop. We need like a desk surface. So once I've cropped my image to the edges of my sketch, and I've set my image with image size under image to be at least 8 by 10 inches at least 300 pixels per inch, the next step is to grow a table around it. That's why the guides are so important, because they'll show you where your original edges are. And to do that, I go to image canvas size. So for those of you who made emojis that got cropped off at the edge, this is how you give yourself more space so that you can fill up the space around the emoji and not have it cropped off. You go to image canvas size. And this will grow from the center, and I'm going to have you all use the same dimension for this. And that is 40 inches wide by 30 inches tall. Why that? Why 30 by 40? It's one I want you to have memorized, because that's the largest size a professional printing press can handle. That's the largest film work you can make for a professional 4-color offset lithography press. So everything that's printed, every bit of media printed material, bus ads, billboards before they were projected, they were all done in pieces that were 30 by 40 inches, because that's what a printing press can do. Books are folded out of pages that are 30 by 40 inches. And then the extension color I'm going to use is gray, because gray is a lot easier on the eyes than white or black. So I have this gray tabletop, and I have my plan in the middle, and now I've got room to bring in my references. Now, what references am I going to bring in? I'm going to bring in the furthest background reference first. So I can see, what did I have here? The sky is the one that's the furthest from the front, the furthest background. This is my green reference. So I look to my reference and I find the sky that's green. It's this one. I drag and drop it in. Because I dragged and dropped it, it comes in as a smart object. And I can see immediately that it's big enough for what I want. I might even shrink it a little bit. And then I just hit return to place it. And I can even kind of put it off to the corner here. And because it's a smart object, it's not going to lose any quality. Now, what's the next? This is like tearing out magazines pages, because there's something on that magazine page I want to cut out and use. Now I'm just tearing out the pages and putting them around my plan, my sketch. So what's in front of the sky? Well, I have ship to. What was ship to? Let's see. I believe it was this one. So I'm going to bring that in. And that's going to be plenty big enough for that background horizon. Let's kind of put it up there for now. Hit return. You see how they're smart objects. I can't erase from them or cut them out until they're rasterized. But I don't want to rasterize them because I want to keep their full resolution until I figure out what size they should be. Okay, the next thing, into the middle ground, we have shipwreck number 1. Yeah, shipwreck number 1. So that is green. And I believe that is this one. Sure enough. And it's plenty big enough. Very good. I'm going to put it over here, hit return to place it. Now I get into the foreground stuff. I have the ropes and that kind of building. There. That's barely big enough, but still big enough, right? This was the smallest of the pixel bay. And this is still multiple, like larger than 1,000 in both dimensions. And I'll probably shrink it a little bit, right? But that's going to be my foreground element. But instead of placing it yet, I'm just going to put it there because I'm going to have to cut it out. All right, and then I had the rust. I was forgetting about the rust. That's more middle ground. So let's get that. That's green. Here it is. Put it in. That's like already kind of the perfect size. Maybe a little big. Whoops. I'm still on the crop tool, and that's a little dangerous, so I'm going to get off the crop tool. All right. Now, all of this that I'm bringing in, these magazine pages to cut out from, they're all smart objects. And that's exactly as it should be. That's the smartest way to work. And then the last thing I need is this shoreline, these rocks, which go into that bottom corner. There we go. All right, so those are my 6 references from my sketch. Doesn't mean I can't add more elements later, but now I'm good to go. Now, because I've added multiple layers, I have my sketch and I have all of my smart objects. Now I want to save it. So once I've placed my last reference, I go to File, Save As. You're going to save it with your name and a description. So this is no longer my sketch. This is my assignment 1, Popeye shipwreck landscape. Man, I need better glasses. Oh, and it's putting a copy. I don't need the copy. But I'm not going to type in the PSD. I leave that there because I want it to have that name. It's my name and then a description, right? Going to the desktop as a Photoshop file. Save. So that if there's a power outage or if my battery loses and I lose this file, I now have it saved. So I'm going to put that in the middle of my desktop, mark it green. I have my sketch. That's orange. That's a JPEG. That's what goes to Canvas. This is now what I'm working on to turn into a finished composite. And anytime I want to save it now to update my progress, all I have to do is hit Command S. The reason that's grayed out is because it's already been saved, right? But as soon as I make a change now, I can just always update it with Command S. Next step is turn off everything except that first layer. That sky that I want to bring in. Bring in the sky, and you realize as soon as you bring it in, it obscures your sketch. So what can help that? We're going to onion skin, just like we did for our emoji. So I'm going to duplicate my sketch, move it up to the very top, set its opacity down to 20%. Just so I can have my sketch as reference whenever I need it. And then I lock it. So I can turn it on and off with the eyeball, but I'll never accidentally select it with the move tool, right? So how much of the sky do I need actually showing? Well, it's all right here. That's the puzzle piece for the sky. So I can now free transform this smart object, bring it into the sky, but I want overlap. It's always good to have overlap. And if I want to squeeze it a little bit, I can. I can hold down Option and Shift, kind of squeeze that sky, move it up a little bit. There we go. Okay, the background layer, that's the only